Hey guys, welcome back to the African Comic Channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful start to the year. I've had an incredible start to the year. Really looking forward to pursuing certain goals that I have in mind for this year. Not only for this channel, growing this channel. I have another channel that I'm working on, but at the same time, personally, some personal things that I'm working on, learning new skills, adding certain things that I think you're supposed to. You're supposed to grow as an individual. And I think that's one of those really cool things that if you push yourself, if you encourage yourself and motivate yourself, you can actually do a whole lot. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. So I'm back here. This is actually going to be a really short video because I'm going to be recapping a few things. One of the biggest things is actually like Aquaman. I wanted to talk about Aquaman, surprisingly Aquaman. I remember talking about this before Aquaman came out, how I didn't really have a lot of expectations for how Aquaman would do, because coming off of really bad DCEU movies like Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, The Flash, those movies were really, they were bad movies, Blue Beetle was the only really silver lining, and actually, Blue Beetle will be part of the new DCU with James Gunn. So that tells you that they recognize that even though the numbers didn't really showcase how good Blue Beetle was, the streaming numbers did. So Blue Beetle will carry on in the new DCU. I don't know how he's going to be able to do this because I don't know. He's going to have to incorporate Blue Beetle into the DCU, or it's going to become kind of like Elseworlds, kind of like the Joker and Matt Reeves' Batman. You know what I mean? They belong, they're not part of the DCU, so they're outside of the DCU, kind of like a multiverse Elseworlds type of deal, But Aquaman, surprisingly, Aquaman right now, globally, as far as revenue, the box office revenue is actually up to a little over 400 million. People projected it would make under 200 million. And it's slowly been creeping up. And I think when I reviewed this movie, I told you guys I liked the movie. I gave this movie a 3 out of 5. You know what I mean? This was not a great movie. This is not a really bad movie in my eyes. It was just an okay movie. And I think that's what people noticed or learned from it. So this was not a really... you didn't come out of it going, like the first time you watched the first Aquaman movie, you probably wanted to go back and rewatch it again. This movie, you enjoyed it, but you were done with it. You know what I mean? Because that's how a lot of these movies, that's how they make these crazy numbers. The reason Endgame made over almost $2 billion, right? Was because people kept going back. They couldn't believe how good this movie was, right? So they kept going back. Same thing with like Batman versus Superman or Man of Steel or Avengers Infinity War. You know what I mean? People kept going back because these movies were so good. So with Aquaman, I think Aquaman, it's just one of those one-time watches. You liked it. You probably told somebody asked you how it was. You said, it was good. It was okay. It was okay. I wasn't really disappointed. It was okay. You know what I mean? I wouldn't watch it again, but it was okay. So Aquaman is actually doing pretty well. And I'm glad that it did, because as the last movie in the DCEU, I think I remember saying I didn't want it to tank. You know what I mean? I wanted it to do okay. I knew it wasn't going to do extremely well because the track record recently, you know what I mean? People didn't really have a lot of faith in Warner Brothers and DC. So nobody really expected it to do well. But surprisingly, Aquaman is actually doing okay. So I'm thinking it probably will end its movie run probably right around 450 million globally, which is okay. That's fine with me. Off to the sunset. Aquaman was not a flop. James Gunn is moving forward with the new DCU, and one of his first movies will be Superman Legacy, and they actually are starting. They're in production, not post production. They're actually starting to really set it up because I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw them. I think they're picking locations right now. I think they're supposed to start shooting in the spring. David Cornsett. You've seen him. I think they're trying him out in basically Henry Cavill's suit. And I didn't know this, but actually, he's actually taller than Henry Cavill. I did not know that. I don't know. For some reason, Henry Cavill always looks big. And if you've seen David Cornsett, he looks big. Like, he looks massive. He looks like he's really, really, he's really taking on this role. And he's embraced the fact that you have to physically embody Superman. You know what I mean? Because you remember Christopher Reeves, you could tell he had muscle, but he didn't really have muscle. You know what I mean? He still did a great job playing Superman. Brandon Routh. I liked the movie Superman Returns. I really did. The story wasn't really that good. His acting was okay, but he didn't physically look like Superman. You know what I mean? But even though there's certain scenes where you're like, oh, this is so cool, when he actually he saved the passengers on a plane, right? There was this huge jumbo jet carrying space shuttle, right? And this scene, I don't know if you remember this scene, and he was able to save. That scene was outstanding. I mean, one of the best Superman shots you'll ever see, and I'll highly recommend it that you go see. I'll try and see if I can put some links under this video where you can actually see this scene, because this scene was outstanding. But you didn't really see Super. First time you saw Henry Cavill in that suit, you said Superman, right? And from that point on, you knew moving forward, he had, I want to say he had spoiled it for everybody, because you have to look like Superman, like physically. It's just one of those things where you have to look like Superman. And David Cornsett, I think, is really, really taking this role and realize I have to embody him physically as well, not just in his spirit and who Superman is, but you have to really look the part. You have to. It's like when you saw everybody loves the Dark Knight trilogy. Everyone loves Christian Bale playing Batman. The stories were outstanding, right? The acting was awesome. But the one thing that you always said was he wasn't really that badass. And then you watched Ben Affleck play Batman, and then you were like, oh, we've been waiting for this Batman. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things where if you watched The Flash and if you watched Batman, if you watched Michael Keaton in the Flash movie, he was really badass. And if you notice, he wasn't that badass in the original 1989 Batman and 1992 Batman. You know what I mean? He was still pretty good. But in the Flash, it's like we saw a different level. And that was because of Ben Affleck. Because even if you watched the Batman, the Matt Reeves, the Batman movie, Batman was badass. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Certain times, certain characters, certain actors, and certain directors really do the character justice. And then moving forward, you're like, it can never be the same. Like, we expect this. You know what I mean? So I think that's what James Gunn now directing the Superman Legacy with people like with an actor like David Cornsett. I think really embracing the fact that you have to really, really, really do this movie justice, do this character justice, physically look like him, and I'm glad they're doing that. So anyway, so that's just a recap. I know we can't wait to see where DC is going. And I'll be giving you guys updates with whatever is going on right now. DCU, like I said, it's in a revamp. They're really building up, so there's really not a lot coming out this year outside of the Joker. So there's really not going to be a lot to touch on from DC other than like TV shows, right? But I'm really looking forward to seeing where DC goes. So anyway, that's a recap of what's going on, what I really wanted to share. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I can't wait to see you guys on the next African Comic Guy. Peace.